everyone, and welcome to our first Year 2 Science session for today. So we are going to be having a look at the Eat Well plate today and healthy eating. What makes a balanced diet? So to start with, we are going to look at the Eat Well plate and healthy eating. Do you know what the food groups are called? So there are different food groups within this plate. The green food group, the yellow food group, the pink, the blue and the purple. But these types of food groups all have a special name. Pause this video for a second and see if you can list down any of the food groups. Great, I hope you wrote some of those down, and if not, not to worry, we'll be coming on to them later. Using some of the pictures, can you name different types of food you might find in each group? For this task, you can use some of the food that you see on the plate, but you may also want to include other foods that aren't on the plate. So moving on to our first food group, and I'm sure you can have a guess what this one is called by looking at some of the pictures on the slide. This is our fruits and vegetables section. And as you can see, there are carrots, broccoli, cucumber, different types of fruit and vegetables. Be mindful to how big this slice of the plate is, and we'll come back to looking at the sizes of them later. So moving on to our next section. And in this section, we have foods that have starch in them, like potatoes, bread, couscous, pasta, rice, and this food group has a special name called carbohydrates. Just bear in mind again how big this slice of the plate is, and we'll come back to it later. Our next section includes different foods like this. It might be eggs, fish, meat, different types of meat like chicken, bacon, beef, but also other types of food like beans and lentils, and these all have something in common. They are all proteins. So in this section we have beans, pulses, fish, meat and other proteins. So another section of our Eat Well plate is this one, and it includes things like cheese, milk, yogurts, and they all have one thing in common, which is dairy. But also an alternative to dairy may be soya milk or almond milk or coconut milk, if you've ever heard of any of these. These are all different alternatives to dairy. So this section is called Dairy and Alternatives. So coming on to our last section in our Eat Well plate, and it is this one. This one has different types of food in. For example, cakes, cookies, biscuits, chocolate, crisps. All of these foods are high in saturated fats, but also it might be things like oils and spreads. So this section is called Oils and Spreads. And I want you to notice, you may need to look back on this video at how the sections have got smaller throughout. That will be something for you to think about in a moment. This one isn't directly on our Eat Well plate, but it is something that is very important for a balanced diet. And it is indeed water. It is recommended that we should have at least 6 to 8 glasses of water a day to keep our bodies fit and healthy. So we are now going to look at a balanced diet. We are going to look at what makes a balanced diet, and we're going to have a think about some of these questions below. You might want to make some notes of your answers. So looking back to our different food groups, why do you think some of the food groups are larger than others? Which food group is the largest and why? And which food group is smallest and why? So pause this video for a moment, look back at the different food groups and have a think why they might be smaller before moving on to the next slide. So we are going to carry on, and I hope you had the opportunity to pause the video and to think about some of the questions on the previous slide. So we're going to carry on with looking at a balanced diet and why it's important we have one. So a balanced diet supplies the nutrients your body needs to work effectively. And a healthy balanced diet is a diet that contains different kinds of foods from all the different food groups that we've just looked at, but in certain quantities. For example, I'm sure you've noticed the fruit and vegetable section is rather large, and that is because we must have at least 5 pieces of fruit and veg daily. However, the oils and spread section, where we would find our chocolates and cakes, is smaller, so we must have a smaller amount of chocolate per day. All types of food is healthy, and we can have them in moderation in our healthy balanced diet, but we just need to think about how much of something we are going to have. We can have lots of fruit and veg, but only a small bit of chocolate in order to keep our healthy balanced diet. So now we're going to move on to looking at a typical roast dinner I would eat. Have a think for a moment. What can you see on this plate in terms of the food that will fall into the different food groups we've just looked at? We have fruits and vegetables. We have fat, which is my Yorkshire pudding. I have my beef, which will go under my protein section. And lastly, my potatoes would be my carbohydrates. So have a think to yourself, how balanced do you think my roast dinner is? And could anything be improved? Is there anything you would add in or take away? Have a think for a moment. You don't need to write anything down for this. So now it's your turn to create your own healthy balanced meal. You might want to look back at the roast dinner example and add something in or take something away to make it your own. Or equally, you might want to create your own healthy balanced meal. This can be done by drawing your plate and drawing different foods on a piece of paper on that plate to create your healthy meal. Or you might want to find food within your house and create a meal that way using different foods that you can find. Either way are great, and I would love for you to send a picture of your healthy balanced meal to the email addresses so we can see some of your meals that you have created. I really want you to think about the different food groups and how you have incorporated and used the different food groups to create your healthy meal. So I hope you've all had a chance by now to create your own healthy balanced meal, whether you've decided to draw it or to actually make it using food within your home. We are now going to finish up with looking at our school dinners and whether we think they are a balanced meal. If you need a reminder of what our school dinners are, here is the link below that will take you so you can read and have a look at different foods for your school dinners. So to start off our sentences, these are our sentence stems we are going to use. I think our school dinners are a healthy balanced meal because, and then give an example afterwards. The example I have used is, I think our school dinners are a healthy balanced meal because there are different foods from each food group. For example, on Tuesday, I will have chicken burger and potato wedges. I will have chicken as my meat and protein, the burger bun and potato wedges for my carbohydrates, and my peas for my vegetables. So pick a meal from the school dinner site and write whether you think our school dinners are a healthy balanced meal, and explain why. Don't forget to use the sentence stems to start your sentence off. After you've written that, you may want to also think about other ways to improve our school dinner menu. It could be they don't include enough of a food group, for example dairy. You might want to see them including more yogurts, for example, for dessert. You can note these ideas down, or you could just have a think of different ways that we could improve our school dinner menu. But either way, don't forget to send these pictures in as well, because we would love to see what you've written and if you think our school dinners are a healthy balanced meal. So you can either email a picture in, or you can tweet it using the school's Twitter, or equally you can share what you have been learning during our Zooms. But it would be great to see how you've got on.